look.
Yeah, let's just check it.
I'll have a look on my phone.
So we're using some new software to do this, and as with all things technical, it generally goes wrong. So I'm just going to check if we can actually see this in the group, and hopefully it's showing up and I'm not broadcasting to the wrong group. I can't actually see it right now. I don't know if...
Or to no one. That could be quite strange, wouldn't it? Just us talking to ourselves.
Oh, no, we're there. I can see
there.
us, guys.
Hi, everyone in Simon's group.
Awesome. Right, that's a great start. So I hope everyone's having an awesome Friday. I can't actually see the live or the comments yet, so I'm just trying to get to that. There we go.
There's a slight delay, Simon, like about a minute probably.
Right, that's probably why. So anyway, yeah, happy Friday. We're using some new software which looks lovely, and it's allowed me to have some wonderful special guests who, if you don't know, are Alex and Lisa from Sober Experiment, which is just so awesome. And I'm excited to have you both with me. We've been doing loads of stuff together lately. This pandemic seems to have brought all the sober community together, and it's just wonderful. And look, the new software, we can see the comments. I don't know if you guys can.
I don't think I can see them.
You're not special.
Well, I can see them on my phone as well. So
can you see them, Alex?
Yeah, I can see them on the side.
Yeah, I can see the comments, and so as always, like.
Oh, I can see them. I needed to swipe over.
So if you've got questions or anything you want to talk about, I want to make sure this is a nice community space and somewhere that we can all discuss things. It's completely safe. You know, nothing goes outside of the group as always. But as I say, I've got some special guests today, so you're welcome to ask Alex and Lisa questions. They are a fountain of knowledge when it comes to all things to do with quitting drinking. So they ignore me, apparently, so they tell me. And they've been doing some wonderful stuff in terms of the sober movement and helping people quit drinking. So I'd love to know how everyone's getting on with being locked down. I know we've all got heightened anxiety and things can be kind of tough at this time, and it's important to manage that. So I guess Sober Experiment, over to you too in terms of some tactics. I know we've talked about some things before around tactics that might help people during this time. It's probably a great place to start.
Do you want to start, Alex? I like throwing you in first.
Yeah, chuck her under the bus.
I do.
All right. I think for me, I have terrible anxiety anyway on a normal day. So this has heightened my anxiety, but not for the reasons of being feared of the virus, just because I need people, I need communication, I need to talk to people, and I really struggle being in my own head. So some of the things I'm doing when I am on my own, which isn't that often actually because I have 3 children, but when I am on my own and I'm exercising, I've tried meditation and it's, I believe, practice. I'm trying. The other thing that I've been doing a lot of is connecting with people, as Simon said. So we've just set up this collaboration, being on here, and being with my best friend, who you can see there, Lisa, give them a wave. We do a lot of virtual talking and messaging each other as well. So we've got a little WhatsApp group set up. So for me, it's very people based. All the ways that I'm coping are around people. If I'm struggling with something, I talk about it. I try not to bottle it up, and I try not to keep it inside. And that might even be some days for some people. Oh my God, I just really feel like having a drink. What can I do? But getting it out and just talking it through really helps me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's funny you say that. I've had more messages from people who I've not met up with face to face, and friends who I haven't spoken to in a while checking in on me and how are you doing through this. And it's been amazing how I've kind of connected with people I haven't heard from in a long time. And it is important, I think, to try and find some good in a really awful situation. And there is some good. I've been spending some wonderful time with my son. We've been cooking, we've been playing games in the garden, and we even made a little spinning thing that we put different activities each day, like movie time, play pool, play a board game, and each day so the idea was that he spins it, but he's been asking Alexa for a random number instead. But it still works, and we've been doing stuff together and making the most of it. And I think it is bringing out a lot of really lovely traits in people and the good in a lot of people as well. So trying to, I know it's difficult, but almost reframe it as, well, what can I do during this that I wouldn't otherwise do, has worked for me anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something else. I'm trying to value the time with my children. And, you know, this doesn't have to be your children. This can be anyone you happen to be locked down with or without, you know. Actually, I'm quite glad that I'm not seeing some people, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Put that out there. And, you know, being with my children, instead of me feeling trapped, which in honesty, at times I have felt trapped, because you do need adult conversation. You do need people. I've just tried to think, you know what? I'm a teacher, and even I'm struggling to homeschool. So you know what? That's another thing. Go easy on yourself. You don't have to be master of everything. I've said to my kids sometimes, you know what? Put the telly on. I'm having 5 minutes, and I've just gone away. And
5 minutes? Mine's watching it all day.
That's
No, she's not. She's actually in bed all day.
Yeah.
But I've just seen, Simon, a comment on there about somebody saying that they're not really good in their own company, and the husband's very self-sufficient and they're feeling a little bit lonely. And I think that's something to really think about at the moment. You know, there's a lot of posts out there about all these families doing this lovely stuff together, which is brilliant, and it's so lovely to see. But I think we forget that sometimes there's people there and they're really alone, and these family photos can be quite upsetting, can't they, to people, and they're like, when they're on their own. And I'm not massively in that position, but you know, my eldest daughter moved out just before the lockdown. My son is at his girlfriend's, and that's where he's staying. So there's me and my youngest daughter. Now, like I said, she's kind of, her routine's completely gone. She's up at night and fast asleep in the day. We've not done very well at that, so I'm spending a lot of the time on my own. So for me, I think it's keeping a routine, you know, trying to keep things as normal as possible. Like, I'm very lucky, I'm working from home at the moment, so I'm getting up at my normal time, I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing my affirmations, I'm getting dressed, and I'm kind of trying to keep normality as much as I can in this situation. And like Alex says, you know, FaceTiming people, I don't know whether that's an option for you, things like that.
Yeah, I think that's all really good stuff. And I actually did a video called staying sane, sober and safe during the pandemic. And I kind of, before I do some of these videos, I sort of do a bit of research, read a few articles with other tips and pull them all together. And one of them was exactly what you said. Have a morning routine. Don't sit in bed on your laptop and think, well, I can just lounge around in my dressing gown all day, because you're not going to have that sense of sort of professionalism and just sort of that feeling of get up and go. It's got up and gone. Yeah, you need to have sort of some structure to the day, and I think that's so important. I'm quite lucky because I do a lot of my work from home anyway, so it hasn't been a massive shift. Probably the weirdest thing is having my wife and my son around the whole time, and having some space to myself, and the same with them, where they can shut the door and just have some me time if they need that. There's a couple of questions, and I can't see who asked this one, but it's a great question for both of you, and I'll answer it after you both have. And this is the only problem with this new software we're using. Before I get to it, a couple of you missed the intro. So this is Alex and Lisa from Sober Experiment. Do you guys just want to share a bit about what you do as well? Because again, I kind of jumped in probably in excitement over my new software.
Well, your turn now, Lisa. It's my turn to throw you under the bus. Go on.
Thanks, Alex. So at the Sober Experiment, the main thing that we do, and the one thing that we're most passionate about, is going into workplaces. So we believe that we've been fooled by alcohol, and I think it's so normalised everywhere. We say we're trying to help people change the mindsets, but really we're going out converting them, aren't we, Alex?
So you're sober preachers?
No, we're not.
Yeah.
we're very lucky because the comments that we have had back, and every single workplace we've done, they've always said that they loved how not preachy we are. So we must have nailed that, because we are, but we're not showing it.
That's a good thing.
But yeah, go on.
I was going to say, people become inspired, you know, they hear the message, and I often get people saying to me, like, they've successfully quit drinking, how do I get my husband to quit? How do I get my friend to quit? And people, when they see a positive and powerful story and the change and, you know, before and after pictures and things like that, they often want a piece of the action. I don't know if you find that in workplaces as much, whether they sort of become inspired by it.
Yeah, they do. And, you know, and I think the thing is, with our story, Lisa was sober a full year before I was and inspired me. So we can actually talk about that from a really personal perspective, how I did want in. It wasn't that Lisa wanted back. I wanted a piece of the action. I could see, let's just go from the very basic things. I could see better hair, better skin, more patience, better sleep.
She's looking good. She's looking good.
I'm not going to have my mate looking younger than me by 10 years. I'm getting on board.
It's true, you know, as well, Simon, this is why my mum got sober. She'd seen about 3 months after I'd stopped drinking, and we worked together, so I was going in the office and I was brighter and happier and smilier, and she was coming in the office pretending she was really tired when clearly she was very hungover. And I'd wrote a post, it was around my 100 days actually, and I'd put this post out of how amazing I felt, and I really did. I was so blown away by the benefits of sobriety and how fab that I felt. I just felt like I had to share it with the world. And in this post, I wrote that I loved being part of the 20% of the population that had stopped drinking. And my mum read the post and she was like, 20%?
Yeah.
I want some of that. I've always been a rebel. I want to be one. And you know what? She's like 18 months sober now and absolutely loving it. That's amazing.
And I think actually as well, if you take out the people who perhaps don't drink for religious reasons, and what I would call the people who don't drink as a lifestyle choice, I think it's more like 5 to 10%. So it really is an exclusive club, and maybe that's why it's kind of hard to get through the door at the start. But once you're inside, it's the best party you've ever had.
I love that. That made me feel all excited inside. I like being I always wanted to be a VIP at the party.
It's a VIP club. Right, I was going to ask you this question and I can't see who asked it because of this software, and I'm so sorry to whoever it was asking it, because I normally like to shout out the name and I can't see it. So somebody wanted to know what your favourite quit drinking books were.
Obviously yours, Simon.
Yeah, obviously.
Can I just actually refer to your book, because your book for me is kind of two halves, and I read it after I've been sober for quite a while.
If you haven't read it.
So for me, the beginning part of Simon's book was very practical on how to stop drinking. So there's a second question on there. Somebody said, how do I stop drinking? For me, there were books like Simon, this being one of them, that beginning bit is how to stop drinking. But very, very recently, I picked back into Simon's book, because later on, Simon talks about different occasions and different situations, and for me that really helped me. You know, I was going to a wedding and it was my first wedding as a sober person. I went to the section in Simon's book that says, like, basically how to tackle a sober wedding, and it helped. So Simon, yes, your book is actually one of my favourites.
Oh, you'll make me blush. Thank you. Aside from my book, what are your favourites?
Okay, so I love William Porter's Alcohol Explained as well. I'm very scientific minded, and I think if you are somebody who likes factual.
Oh, this was not planned.
It wasn't planned at all. Everyone you say will be under my desk.
And Annie Grace for me as well.
That's obviously my favourite.
They
just keep saying them so it keeps going under.
They're my top three, and I also like Bexwell or A Happier Hour. I don't know if
no, I haven't got that one. I'll check that out.
And yeah, I liked that one as well. That's a little bit more light-hearted and more along the sort of sober diaries kind of memoirs. But yeah, for me, the more facts, the better. And it is personal choice, but that's mine. Lisa's going to say completely different to me, so I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I'm not good with facts. I feel like I'm at school. I never did great there. So I feel like the education side of it, just tell me how good I'm going to feel, and that's fine with me. So for me, it was things like the Sober Diaries with Claire Pooley. I just loved how she wrote.
He's off.
Yeah, I was going to get that one. Hers has disappeared. I have got it.
I listened on Audible because I'm dead fidgety, as you'll probably notice. You might not notice it actually because you can just see my head. I can wiggle about under here. But so I don't actually sit and read. So Audibles and Claire Pooley, I just loved how she wrote. It was like my mum reading a book to me when I was younger. That's how it felt listening to that. The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober, I liked Mrs. D Going Without. That was really, really funny. We liked that.
Yeah, we both liked that one.
We could do 2 in 1.
Oh, yes.
Where's the camera there? Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Mrs. D's Going Without. There it is.
That's it. And can I just say about...
And Hip Sobriety's pretty damn good as well.
I've not read that one.
Sorry, High Sobriety, not Hip Sobriety.
The Lotta Dan that wrote Mrs. D Going Without, we did a podcast with her, didn't we, Ali?
Oh,
and
so
she
lovely.
is absolute, honestly, she's so lovely. And you don't realise it because she's in New Zealand.
Yeah.
A lot of their drinking is at home. And nearly everybody drinks around her. So she doesn't have this that we have. And I just think it must be really difficult for her. And that book's just amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. And you also answered Mark's question around a good place to start. Because I know, Mark, you asked a couple of questions before around how do I even start? You know, where do I even begin with this? And that is actually where I started when it came to quitting drinking. You know, I picked up Annie Grace's book, This Naked Mind, and I saw Scott Pinyard was on, who's the head coach of This Naked Mind. I don't know if you're still on, Scott, but if you are, hey, and Scott might even be coming on one of these as a special guest sometime soon. And he really is an awesome and inspirational person. But that was where I started with Annie's book. And you guys, you know, it was a case of picking up a book and starting to just take gentle steps forward, educating myself, discovering more and more. And then it just was like a snowball of learning and then putting what I'd learned into practice, into the real world. And that was just gentle baby steps. And yeah, I often say to people, when you quit drinking, it's like being a little toddler and you take a few steps forward and fall flat on your face. And then you get up and you walk a bit further and on it goes until eventually you can walk for miles and you're free.
Definitely. Simon, can I just throw, it kind of answers that question as well, but it is another book and it's Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Stop Drinking. That, for me, I used that to stop smoking originally, the stop smoking one, obviously. And I really liked his methods and the fact that at the beginning of the book, he told me not to stop drinking just yet. So I was like, oh, thank goodness for that. I can carry on for a little bit longer. But by the time, you know, when you get a few pages into that book, you're like ready to stop. You're just thinking, I cannot wait till he tells me to stop now.
Annie does the same.
Yeah, and I think then you feel like you've got the power to make the decision. It's your choice rather than somebody. Yeah, when was the last time someone told you to do something and you felt it kind of positive about doing it and you wanted to do it? Whereas when you think, yeah, I want a piece of this, I want some of that action, and then you're inspired and excited about it. And someone just asked Harriet, if we can't make one of these coaching sessions, can we watch a replay? Which you absolutely can. And that leads me to something else. I'm just going to share a image with you guys. Hopefully you can all see it. So Alex and Lisa do something called Sober Saturday, which we did the first one last week, and we've got a panel of what I would consider sober legends, which is a guy called Sober Dave, who, if you don't follow him on Instagram, he is amazing. And we've got Mandy and I think Kate from Love Sober coming on, William Porter, who wrote Alcohol Explained, who some of the advice that man gives is amazing. He speaks like the book. He's just incredible, so sort of scientific and factual based, and a lot of it really makes sense. So that's every Saturday and there's one tomorrow. We've got Janie Lee Grace coming on tomorrow.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Do not miss it, because what is wonderful about this pandemic is we're all doing free stuff. We've all collaborated together. We're all just trying to help and give extra support. And it's just makes me a bit emotional that everybody's pulling together in this way. And that's 4 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Where can people get the Zoom link? I think I've shared it in the Be Sober group, but where else? Like, you're on your Instagram?
On our Instagram and on our Facebook, in our link tree, we've got the link directly to it, and it's 4 p.m. tomorrow, 4 p.m. GMT, so just be careful of that.
Can we put it on here, Simon, as well afterwards?
Yeah, I'll share it in the comments afterwards. Yeah. But guys, if you want some support with some of the sort of biggest influencers in the sober space, I mean, Sober Dave is just he's just so real.
It's so funny though, isn't it?
And it's hilarious. Yeah, he gives some really amazing advice. Everything from how he used to hide his wine bottles in bushes through to his sober pants. But he talks so much sense, and he gives some very valuable nuggets of helpful information in terms of how you go about successfully quitting drinking and what worked for him and what didn't. So the Sober Saturdays, is that going on right through the pandemic? Or?
Yeah, just for the foreseeable, and then we will just see where it takes us after that.
Yeah, excellent. So and the same with the Free Friday coaching that I'm doing. The only difference is I'm doing this in the Facebook group. You're doing this on Zoom. I don't know how many spaces there are, whether it will fill up. So try and perhaps get into the Zoom waiting room early. I said yesterday it was going to be like One Direction playing a concert in a village hall. And I think that might well be the case, actually.
As long as nobody asked me to sing, Simon, because that would not be good.
Yeah, exactly.
But can I just say, if you don't manage to get on, we will record that, and the link will be in all of our groups, Simon's, Williams, ours, Love Sobers, so you will be able to watch it. We are looking at solutions if we do there's 100 spaces, I believe, and we are looking at solutions of getting more than 100 in there. But as you can imagine at the moment, it's quite tricky, but we'll keep you posted. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'll share that poster in the group, and I'll drop a link to it in the comments here as well. So I'll just take that off. A couple more questions that have come in. Julie, you said I'm just reading this off my phone, which is what I'm looking at.
I wondered how you knew the names.
Yeah, you see. I've been trying my best to do this. Might not be early, might be late in the day, but try my best to do what I normally do. Alcohol dependent, and the way things are, there's no help from services. I dare not just quit because withdrawals could be bad. Wake up soaked in sweat, shaking, need to get to the shop, anxiety, depression, but had to go. I don't want to do it alone. It's frightening when you can hardly hold a glass and get it down through shaking so much. The head and hands are shaking. So obviously, that level of withdrawal, I definitely wouldn't recommend just stopping straight off. But I would absolutely look for a strategy around how you're going to gradually get, wean your way down. I was talking to somebody yesterday around possibly reducing the levels of what they drink, maybe starting to water down. Like if you drank wine, you could add 10% water and make a commitment to yourself to do that, and then just creep it up 10% to 20 to 30 to 40. But I would, if you're experiencing that, you might want to get some medical advice before you dive in and do anything. But you're not alone, and I suppose that's what I wanted to say. You're not. There's so much going on.
Go on, Alex.
That's the thing. You are not alone, and I speak for us all. I believe that we're not medically trained in this. So it would be wrong of us to give you any medical advice. But what I can say, I have got personal experience with several people who have had high levels of dependency. And you're absolutely right, it is dangerous to cut it out. Please don't do that, because it is dangerous. And that's from a non-medical point of view. That's from purely what I've observed. There will be services running where you can get help medication-wise, but they will be trickier to find. But I think Simon's advice is great. The other thing you can do, which is what I did with the person that I'm going to tell you about, I won't name them, but somebody very close to me, and they wouldn't mind me speaking about them. This person was drinking 4 bottles of wine per day, and we made a commitment to remove a glass and throw it down the sink every few days. So it started with 4 bottles, then it went to throw 1 glass away, 4 3/4, and then it went to 2 glasses, 4 and so on. So keep talking. That's going to help you the most. Try to wean down safely, but don't do anything that's going to put you at risk from health risks at all at this stage. The best thing you can be doing now is preparing for when we come out of this, so that you have got all the tools and the positivity and the mindset to be able to tackle this head on.
And one of the things you said there was kind of similar to the solution I gave, which is brilliant, around adding water to the wine. But to take that a stage further, if there's anyone you can be accountable to, so if you've got a friend who would support you on this, you could commit to sending them a photo each day of you pouring that one additional glass away, or pouring the water into the bottle of wine. I actually did that. I watered my wine down. I did it for about 3 weeks before I quit. And by the end, I could hardly taste the wine in it. And I almost got to a place where I was like, why am I even bothering with this? There's nothing to it. And at the same time, I was reading the books. I was putting all the work in. So it helped me. But yeah, that's great advice. I really like that. Rihanna, you said 82 days sober, which is awesome.
Yay! Well,
brilliant. We should clap that one. That's fantastic. 82 days sober. The past couple of weeks have been a battle, but I refuse to keep fighting. I deserve it, and so does my health at these trying times. Absolutely. And we were saying earlier, talking just before we came on here, about the concept of just thinking for a minute, how will alcohol help this situation? What would alcohol do for me in this situation? For me, I handle heightened anxiety, and we can't get away from it. It's heightened anxiety. I handled it so much better without drink involved. I would have had a meltdown by now and probably burst into tears multiple times if I was still drinking. And I would have a garage with more Shiraz than the local vineyard.
Oh, yeah.
So that's awesome. You're doing great there. Just, I think you said, Lisa, earlier about meditating. I find that a great help when I have challenging thoughts, feelings, emotions come up. Do you use the Calm app or Headspace?
I do a few different things, actually. Early on in my sobriety, it's playing back at me that a little bit. I can hear myself, sorry. Early on in my sobriety, I actually went to meditation classes, which really, really helped me. And they were like counting meditations. And in all honesty, that half hour was the only half hour of peace I got in a whole week. It just really, really helped me. Now I've kind of moved on and I use a Sadhguru meditation. So it's called Sadhguru. And I don't know whether I'd recommend it to anybody really early on, because there's a bit of chanting and humming, and I love it because it just really takes my mind off, and there's a bit of singing. And every morning I do 12 minutes of that. But there's another app called Buddify as well. So that's really good, because the meditations you can do there, they do ones where you can just be sat on a park bench, or you can meditate while you're cleaning up. I think people think you've got to be able to sit there for hours and hours and switch off.
Yeah, and you don't.
No, and it's practice. They call it meditation practice, not meditation perfect. So I think you don't want your brain to switch off. We don't want that. It's just learning to observe them thoughts, I think. So there's so many apps. I'd just try different ones and see what works.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I use the Calm app, which is awesome. And I found, in fact, I think I've got a Calm book. Like, I like to hold a book up. That's the Calm app. But the app's got that logo.
Yeah.
So that's well worth looking at. But I remember the first time I meditated and my head was buzzing with thoughts. And I was like, what am I doing this for? I'm never going to master it. And as you say, it's practice, not perfect. And then second and third time, it started to clear and it felt like an empty space. I actually wore my top that says, let that.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
You know what, though, this morning, and this honestly happened to me when I was doing my meditation this morning, and I kind of was zoning out a little bit, and then my thoughts started to creep in, and I started to think, why do I not think lots? Is that normal not to think lots? Why am I not thinking like really clever thoughts or going here or worrying about this? So I then started thinking about not thinking. It was just like, and I think once you learn to just think, right, that's all right, pull yourself back and let it go.
Yeah, exactly. And almost watch those thoughts like a cloud passing in the sky until, so don't fight the thoughts. Don't try and push them out of the way or suppress them. Just allow them to be. And
don't be mad at yourself.
No.
If you spend 10 minutes worrying about your shopping list or this or whatever, you know what? You've give it a go and it gets easier and easier, and it just be really nice to yourself and kind of observe them and maybe think, like my mum taught me to look at my thoughts, like to laugh at them in a way and say, oh, you not attach yourself to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I think I often talk about sitting on the edge of a riverbank, and the fast flowing river of rapids is your thoughts rushing by. And if you can learn to sit there and observe them instead of jumping in the river and getting washed away with them, you really can get some control and sort of almost have power over them in a positive way. But when we first quit drinking, that river seems to have these big logs or crocodiles that come along, which are the thoughts about alcohol, and they really jump out, and they can be hard not to like latch onto and get involved with. So Emily, you said you're reading the Sober Diaries right now, so we won't spoil the end. And you've got my book on order, which is really cool. So that's
brilliant.
Awesome. And a massive Heather Truman is one of our moderators and mentors in the group, and she's 19 months sober today, and she loves being in the VIP club. Heather, you need to come on one of these and stop hiding in the comments.
Yes,
you have got so much awesome stuff to say, and everybody would just love you to do this. So I may start a petition in the group. But 19 months, and we've kind of been together almost every step of the way on that, and she's just a wonderful, caring person who just gives so much to everybody and so much time and just helps people. It's just incredible. Everyone I talk to in the group is like, oh yeah, I was speaking to Heather. She just does so much. It's wonderful. So 19 months is brilliant, and I'm sorry you're cooped up at home having to do that.
Oh, that is amazing.
And Martha's with us as well. Martha, you came on the Sober Life Stories last week, which was our third most popular viewed video within about 24 hours of people wanting to hear your story, and you're doing some incredible stuff as well. So I think you're about 8 months sober. So again, that's incredible. So what else? A few more comments. Ellie, you said you've got most of these books, but I had to move after my mum died, and God knows where any of them are. Might have to buy them all again. Yeah, buy mine again. That'd be great. You can't have enough copies. Don't worry about the other ones. I'll send you mine.
You can have one upstairs, one downstairs, one in the bathroom.
Can I just say
everyone.
People don't always like reading because either they can't find the time, or and I used to be a real, like avid reader, read. But now I'm at home, I'm just literally shoving one earphone in, and when I'm cleaning up, I'm listening to a chapter, and I still do that now. And I'm a while sober now, but I still listen to some form of self-development even now. So even if you are long-term sober, you don't have to be listening to how to get sober books, but books about anxiety, books about self-esteem, books about how to tackle the world. They're also really good books to keep you positive and keep you focused. And if you haven't got time to read, get Audible. It's really good. I think at the moment they're doing a deal on 2-for-1s as well. So
yeah, and what I used to do, and I'm the same. I still feel we have to keep our toe in the water, no matter whether you've been sober for 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, or 20 years. There's still an element of kind of ongoing learning. And I can't remember what the phrase is, but they're like doctors and lawyers in the UK have to do CPD, continual professional development. And with sobriety, I think you still need to do that. So when somebody qualifies as a doctor, they know what they're doing, and they go and they start to get experience, but they do CPD all the time where they keep on learning, they keep educating themselves. I even have a reminder on my phone every month, and it says quit lit, get a new sober book or listen to a podcast. So you've got to keep doing it. If you play tennis, say you played tennis to a really high standard and you did it for a month and you became amazing at tennis, and then you didn't pick a racket up for another 12 months, pretty sure you're not going to be very good at tennis when you pick it back up again. So it's just a case of keeping your toe in the water, maintaining the level of learning and being involved in groups and things like this right now. It's all part of that. And what I was going to say before I went off on that massive rant about continual learning was that I used to get podcast episodes. I'd download them on my phone and I'd have them lined up. So whenever I did the school run in the morning, or, well, not while he was in the car, but on the way back, I would play a podcast and I'd have it ready to go. So I made a podcast schedule. And as you say, Alex, it's very easy to do. You know, we're working from home now, so I'm sure having something like that on in the background or in an earphone is not as difficult as it once was for many people.
Yeah. And when you're exercising as well, you know, sometimes I even put a chapter of a book on when I'm having a run. It's not for everyone, because some people like music, but I like to just keep my head focused on what I'm doing. And I'm one of the people who struggles to meditate. So my meditation is learning at the moment. I am going to keep giving it a go. Lisa's trying to get me to go on Bubbly and Headspace, and I'll keep going. But in the meantime, listening for me is what helps.
I was inside laughing when we were talking about meditation, because I could see her face, and her face was what my face does when she talks about science. She's like, oh.
Yeah, but it's horses for courses. There's different, you know, some people like the books about, you know, more stories and memoirs, and some like the science. A bit like some people like documentaries, and some people like Game of Thrones. You know, it's just a thing, isn't it? It's funny you say about on the treadmill. So I was at my local gym a couple of months ago it was, and one of the members of the Be Sober group, who I won't name, I was sitting in the reception, and a lady came down the stairs and she said, "Oh, you're Simon, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "I've just been watching you on the treadmill," and she was watching my YouTube videos on the treadmill, which was kind of weird. So
you meant she was watching you while she was on the treadmill.
No, well, she was, but on the screen.
Yeah, but
the point is, even doing that, you know, people do it, and it's more about being organised and ready with what you're going to watch, instead of getting to the gym. Not that we can go right now, but instead of getting there and thinking, "Oh, right, what am I going to watch?" and then scrolling through, or you got a crappy connection because you haven't downloaded it. Just plan ahead and almost have your own sober playlist of podcasts, books, Audible, whatever it might be. So what else have we got?
It doesn't come easy to everybody, does it? And I think that's like, you know, when you talk to people who have been sober quite a while and they're happy and they're buzzing and they're talking about all these amazing benefits, it can be quite hard when you're in the early days and feeling not that way. So I think you know that, you know, it, as much as it can be hard, it is worth it, and you've got to work it, but it is worth every single thing that you put into practice.
And if you don't believe, do you know the best thing you can read to back up what Lisa just said there is, if you just Google The Obstacle Course by Claire Pooley, there's a blog post about it. I'm not even going to try and do it. I've tried to say the story before. I deliver it so poorly. It's brilliant. And it, you know, that resonated with me so much when I read that. Just seriously, if you're at a place right now where you feel like you keep taking 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back instead of 2 steps forward and 1 step back and not moving anywhere, go and read that, The Obstacle Course by Claire Pooley. Just Google it and you'll find the blog post. And it really is powerful stuff. And it helped me so much. So Angela said,
I'm chucking 3 other things really quick that are going to help people.
That's not quick.
No, they are. There's 2 together. If you go on YouTube as well and look for Janie Lee Grace's TED Talk and Claire Pooley's TED Talk, they're really short videos that can get you going. That's 2 of them. And my other one is, we'll send Simon the link, but Janie Lee Grace actually put together a short meditation for beginners. So we'll get Simon the link, because she's our guest next tomorrow. So we'll get that link and we'll put that on as well, so that you can have a go at a meditation that's done by somebody kind of kind and sweet and nice.
And if you don't know Janie Lee Grace, I know some of you guys are outside of the UK. She's a television and radio presenter. She runs an amazing sober podcast, which I've been on. Have you guys been on her podcast?
Yeah.
So she does an awesome...
been on our, Simon. She's been on our podcast as well.
She has, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So Janie is just so good, and she's done a TED Talk, which is the ultimate accolade in public speaking, as far as I'm concerned. I've not actually had the guts to do one yet, but my time.
We're just going to stand in front of a sign, aren't we, Alex, and pretend that we did?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant idea. I'm going to do that. Angela said, "You all look so healthy, happy and relaxed. Great timing to have all this inspiration as I approach another Friday evening on lockdown. Thank you."
Oh, that's really nice.
It is nice.
That is a lovely
comment.
It
is. I'm rubbish at accepting comments. I'm like,
Oh, I love them. You keep them coming. The more, the better. And if you want to put them in writing, that no.
Yeah, I love them.
I'm only joking, and it is lovely. It makes me blush, actually. And when people say lovely things like that, it just makes it all worthwhile. Because these guys are giving up their time totally free, as am I. But we're all doing this to help. We all want a sense of community, help anyone who's finding things tough right now, share any tips, tactics, whatever, and do as you were just saying with Janie Lee Grace. Do jump on the Sober Saturday panel tomorrow. It is even if it's just to see Sober Dave. You need to check him out. Ellie, you said I've bought Alan Carr's book too, but all my sober books have got lost in transit. I've got thousands of books, mainly in boxes at the moment.
Oh,
that's not good. You're going to need to reorder or get them on your Kindle.
Start with a podcast while you're waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Julie said, is it safe to stop? I always got told no, so it's scary. I love to just say, I will go to sleep tonight, and when I cannot drink would be my absolute dream. So I guess, is it safe to stop? Probably needs a bit more context to it, because I think a lot of that is around how much you're drinking, how long you've been drinking for, your general state of health. I would never advise someone just to stop, but rule of thumb, I mean, I was drinking anything from 1 to 3 bottles of red wine a day, sometimes topped off with a couple of beers, and I did just stop pretty much. But everybody's different, and I would always recommend, even if it was just speaking to an online doctor or one of these doctors you can kind of chat to using text chat, because it's hard to see a doctor now, but you can still get appointments with an online face-to-face doctor for perhaps $25, $50, I don't know. I would just take some advice on it first before you do that and prepare. What would you guys say to that?
I'd say exactly the same.
And we were binge drinkers, both Lisa and I, so we would drink heavy amounts for the weekend. And all I can say to you is, if you get really bad hangovers and you're a binge drinker, well, it's going to be 100 times worse if you're an everyday drinker and you try and cut out altogether. So it does depend. If you're a binge drinker and you're used to going days without alcohol, then it's probably not as dangerous as if you're an everyday drinker. But that doesn't mean to say you're not going to go through difficulty. So caution in this stage.
Yeah, exactly. And I was never a binge drinker. I drank every single day. So between the three of us, you've got the complete sort of spectrum of the different kind of drinking habits, I guess. So although I could binge drink as well, don't get me wrong. Mark, you said, how do I get the books? My book's on Amazon. You can get, if you want the first 10 chapters free, just go to my website, which is besober.co.uk. Put your email address in, it automatically sends you a PDF with the first 10 chapters. So you can get that right now and start reading it, and that is you putting one step in front of the other and starting to make a change. And it's just small steps forward like that. Ellie said no wonder she's poor. She spent all her money on booze and books. Well, hopefully you're saving money if you've now quit.
Yeah, definitely.
And Michelle's eating lots of toffee at the moment. What advice would you give to people who start to nibble on sweets and snacks when they quit drinking?
Oh, I'm not the one for this week.
You know what? You've got to think about this. And I am going to be slightly sciencey, but not too much. When you cut out any alcohol, you're going to take a massive dip in your sugar intake, because to make alcohol taste nice, it's loaded with sugar, whether that be fruit or just sugar. It's loaded with it. So actually, when you start to crave sugar, it's because your body's trying to replace it anyway. So what I would say is, in the first instance, go easy on yourself. Eat what you want, because you know what, you can lose weight if that's your problem. I would say, if you can, choose healthier sweet options than unhealthy ones. So, go for your fruits. But yeah, go easy on yourself. You know what? Fruit isn't going to kill you as quickly as alcohol will. So it'll come. Yeah,
that's so true. And at the end of the day, if you're having the odd snack, the odd KFC even, or whatever it may be, you're not drinking. That's the most important thing. And you can look at weight loss a bit further down the line and start. But if you try and do too much all in one go, it can feel a little bit overwhelming.
I agree, Sat. And I think you see sometimes so many before and after pictures on groups of people saying that they've lost weight, you can start to think, oh no, I'm not doing that, I'm eating this and I'm doing that. And I think, again, it's just being kind to yourself. It will come. I've got to be honest, it took me 12 months, and in the first 6-7 months I put on I used to be a Slimming World consultant as well. So when I kind of left my job, then I went sober, and then I just went all crazy on food, and it took me 6 to 7 months before I started to think, right, I'm going to concentrate on this now. So it's just being kind on yourself. And you know what, I think when you stop drinking, you kind of want to look after yourself a little bit more. So yeah, you will be craving sweet things, but I think you'll be all right. Yeah, just be nice to yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the key. It really doesn't matter right now. Maybe when you get, if you're sort of 6 months, 8 months down the line, that's when you might start looking at these things. And a few people do put a little bit of weight on to start with, and then it tends to go the other way as things change over the longer term. I often say it's a bit like those big oil tankers in the middle of the sea, with weight loss, kind of turning one of those round takes a long time. And weight loss seems to be the last thing. It's the icing on the cake, pardon the pun, but it is of sobriety to me.
Definitely.
You've got to remember as well, and this really helped me, and this was in your book, Simon. Here we go, another book of Simon's book.
Yeah, that's it.
You've got to think about the reasons you actually stopped drinking. And I only started to get bogged down about my weight when it was going on and not coming off. And I had to remind myself through Simon's book, that's not why I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking to remove alcohol from my system, to stop poisoning myself. So go back to your why, because you know what? Weight loss really isn't that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, and it will happen as a natural byproduct over time.
Yeah, do you know, I was talking to someone just the other day about this. They were having a little bit of a wobble, and we went through their whys, and I got my journal out and I went through mine as well. And when I look back and saw how I put wine ahead of my son and spending quality time with him, how I was putting wine ahead of my career, my wife, my business, so much, everything, and I just looked and I thought, my God, what was I doing? And when you revisit those whys, that journal, when you journal it down, it's great. It's wonderful for the now, for that moment.
Yeah.
But when you look back at it, it is a really powerful tool.
Yeah.
To reinforce, why the hell am I here? Why did I do this? What else have we got? Emma, you said you're struggling with the wine witch at the moment. So it's Friday. And what would you say to anyone struggling with the horrible wine witch?
I named mine, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I actually called mine Big Al. So because it was a massive voice in my head, it was just there all the time. You can have one now. You've proven you don't need to stop forever, because you've gone a week without one. You've proven it, and it was constant. And you know what? Simon's got a really good way of dealing with this, and he talks about the elephant. It's just the same. I actually started talking out loud to mine and saying, you know what? I'm not going to fall for your tricks. I'm not doing it. You can forget it. You can just get one, get lost. Do one. I did actually swear, if I'm honest.
I thought you were being polite, Ali.
I am being polite. But I did out loud speak to mine and just say, no, I've made a choice not to drink today, and I'm not going to drink today. And that's all you can do. Because someone said to me, the only way you can fail at not drinking is by stop trying. So when you pick up that drink, you've taken the step to drinking again. But that doesn't mean that you can't go back and say, I'm going to stop again. It gets harder, I think, to stop over and over again. But if you don't pick that drink up today, you're moving forward. So try not to look at the big picture. Try not to think about it as forever. And yeah, just deal with the voice each incident at a time, and disagree with it. You don't have to do what it says. It's there. I've had really weird thoughts over the years with my anxiety. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, actually. But, have you ever walked past somebody by like a canal edge or a river and thought, I wonder what would happen if I push them in? Now, obviously, you've got no intention of pushing that person in, and you can talk yourself out of it immediately and go, no, that wouldn't be good. It's the same with the wine witch. It's just a thought, and that's what you've got to think of it as. Belittle her. Get rid of her. You are in charge of her, not your thoughts in charge of you.
And this is what I was on about earlier with the river of the rapids. You know, we have 100,000 transient thoughts a day, and a transient thought means a thought that is just pointless. You know, like when I have thoughts about Katy Perry, for example, it's just a thought. You know, well, it's not going to happen. That's the point. I'm not going to act on it, or just like you've made myself blush.
Really? You blush? I feel awkward.
It was the first thing that came into my head. And Alex's point about pushing somebody into a river, you know, you might
push Katy Perry in the river.
There we go. And that's the kind of thing, though. You know, you have these weird, and that was the point I was trying to make. You have thoughts about all sorts of weird and wonderful things throughout the day, and that just happened to be one that came into my head, strangely. So what you've got to learn to do is stop latching on to the ones about alcohol, and that is where you get to the root of the crux of the matter, the root of the problem of jumping onto these thoughts, grasping onto them just because it starts with the letter A and is alcohol. You know, we've got to when we learn that they are just thoughts and you can observe them from the bank of the river, it just becomes so much easier. What I would say, Emma, if you're struggling with the wine witch, is that video about the elephant. It's on my YouTube channel. Go and just watch the one with the picture of the elephant on it, and that will hopefully give you some tactics for dealing with that. Hopefully. What else have we got? Oh, there's loads of comments and I can't keep up with them all.
I was speaking to somebody the other day that had asked us for a little bit of advice about the wine witch and wanting to pick up a drink, and what we said to her was, you know, maybe have a list of things that you promise yourself that you will do before you will pick up that drink. So it could be, you know, phone a friend. It could, I forgot what else we said. I got carried away on message.
I've got this exact story. I don't mean to jump in, but this is brilliant. So I know a guy who has a video of him drunk. He was being sick and embarrassing and all the rest of it. He's got this video and he has committed absolutely to himself. If he ever is going to drink, he's going to watch that video first, because he knows that will be enough to make him step back and stop. But Lisa's right. Anything like that, make like a non-negotiable commitment to yourself.
Yeah. You could write down even just 3 reasons why you stopped. And, you know, once you've done that, then maybe as part of that list, it could be to read the reasons why you've stopped.
Yeah, exactly. And it could just be something as simple as, you know, if you've got kids, for example, before I take a drink, I'm going to go and sit for 5-10 minutes with my kids, read them a story, and it will just zone you back in and connect you. And you'll think, what the hell am I thinking? Why am I going to spoil this? Why am I going to involve alcohol in this? I mean, you know, it's different for everybody, but making a list of non-negotiables, what I am no longer willing to put alcohol in front of, is incredible.
And the feeling afterwards, you know, when you've done it, and you know, because we've all had them feelings, we've all had that wine witch or that elephant or whatever, but the feeling when you get past it and you're like, oh, I can't believe I was going to do that. I'm so glad that I didn't. And you can't beat that feeling, I think, once you've gotten past it.
And and you grow stronger. And back to Emma's point about the wine witch, you know, as time passes by, the voice gets quieter and quieter to the point that it just becomes, you know, practically silent. Chris said about believing he's kind of overconfident and thinking he's got it cracked once and for all. And I know for some people that can be also a bit of an obstacle along the way. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I go back to what I said earlier, and you know, and what you said earlier, that if you don't practice tennis and you're an amazing tennis player, then over time you risk not being good at tennis anymore. And that's not the case for everybody. Maybe you have cracked it, and that would be great. But I would say to have something always that just keeps reminding you. Kind of 2 points linked here. We've got a gentleman in our group, and something he does is he has his photograph of his children in his wallet where his money is, so that every time he goes to the shop or the pub, the photo of the children comes out with the card, and he's doing nothing else, but that reminds him, oh, I don't drink anymore. So I think just little tactics to remind yourself that you don't drink, why you don't drink. And yeah, I'd go like all the way and be listening to something at least weekly.
Yeah, and also you can set yourself kind of carrot and stick style challenges, and they work for some people, they don't for others. But I remember I was doing something with a lady previously, and her daughter was really into clothes and clothes shopping, and I said to her, why don't you say, if you do the next 30 days alcohol free, your daughter will get you'll take her shopping with £100 budget, and if you drink during that time, the budget reduces to £50. And so the daughter would still get something. But she, after she sat down with her daughter, because she was worried about telling her as well, it made the whole thing fun. There was no serious in it at all, and her daughter suddenly became her biggest supporter and was on her case, and she did it, no problem. She's still sober now. So yeah, you can think about other little things like that just to keep spurring you on. But
I think I was a little bit like whoever's just said that about being overconfident, because I found it, if I'm honest, really quite. I set myself a 100-day target to begin with, which was pretty extreme when I realised what I'd got on in that 100 days. I'd forgot that I'd booked a holiday and it was my birthday and all these things. But once I got into it, I was really confident, and I thought, I've absolutely smashed this. So I kind of get, you don't want to fall off that, do you? You know, like they call it the pink fluffy cloud, or, you know, when you're feeling really good about it. And I think it's just to maybe have a plan just in case. Just keep riding it and enjoying it and loving it at the moment. I know for me, like it was a good 12 months, you know, before I even considered at one point thinking, and it just hit me, I was like, oh my God, I could just have a drink. And I was really shocked because I'd been so confident about it. But luckily I'd got a support network in place at that point. So I think it's just having plans just in case. But you go for it, enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Christy, you said you've been alcohol free for over 8 months, which is amazing. And
that is amazing.
I've followed you, like, your journey the whole way, from the alcohol experiment and the groups we're in. So, which is brilliant. And our world is under such stress. When my previous response would be to escape into alcohol, it's hard to remember how destructive alcohol was in my life. How do you remind your inner elephant that he is bad for you?
Like this.
Oh yeah, that's awful.
My God.
Like that.
Oh, all right, Alex. You didn't tell me you were going to pull that out.
You wouldn't let me. We have photos of like that, split screen one, me and Lisa, both of us there. And then we have our transformation photographs on the other side. That's how I remind myself. I don't want to look like that or feel like that again. I went a step further and actually videoed my final hangover. And when I get really wobbly, I go and have a look at that, because I was crawling around on all fours, and I will never go back to that again. That's me.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got pictures like that on my phone. And I've found making myself accountable to people was just so powerful. When I started, and I wouldn't recommend doing what I did, which is tell the whole world 2 weeks after you've quit, because that puts too much pressure on. Yeah, something else we've got in common. And you just put a lot of pressure on yourself by doing that. But having a plan to tell people is absolutely a great idea, and just gradually broadening it out. Start with your kind of closest friends and family, and then just slowly start to tell people. And I love nothing better than when somebody posts in the group that they've just come out. It's amazing. I never thought I'd have to come out, but I have.
We were saying this, it's because I'm really proudly sober, and it was the other day we were talking about it, wasn't we, Alex? And we're just like, we'll walk into a shop and the shopkeeper said, like, I don't know, the bananas are over there. And I'm like, oh, I'm sober, like, we just tell everybody. And I know that's not easy for everybody to do, when they've battled with it for a long time and they're struggling. But yeah, we're quite proudly sober. And I think,
And somebody's mentioned, which is linked to it in the comments as well, saying, is there ever a time when you don't have to work at it? And it comes, and it's kind of like this. At the beginning, it is work, and I think you do need to see it as work, because it's you're actively trying to not drink. But in all honesty, I probably go weeks now without even thinking about a drink. And when I do think about a drink, it's never, oh, I want one. It's more like, oh, I would have had a drink now, but I'm not going to. And it becomes a fleeting thought. It becomes one of the rapids in the river. And it's just time. It's just time and practice and knowing your triggers. So when you get that trigger that makes you want to reach for a drink, rewire your brain and make your brain work for you instead of against you. So when you get that little kind of craving of, oh, I want a drink now, do something else and make that your new go-to. So whether that be meditation or exercise or something as small as getting up and walking out of your front door and back in again, make that trigger forgotten. Get rid of it by replacing it with something healthier.
Sorry, go on.
We glamorize it too much sometimes, like when the thoughts start creeping back in of what we used to do when we associate. And I think something that really helped me is, when you hear people talking about a drink and they say, oh, I'd like a nice cold glass of wine, and they're making it sound like, take it out. It's not a nice cold, it's a glass of wine. And I think we give it too much credit. And the longer it goes, sometimes you start to look back at the good times that you had and forget the bad times. So as much as I'm not an advocate for trying to think about all the bad times, you do need to have them there, don't you, to pull yourself back sometimes. And we just, you see pictures of being on holiday and that cocktail glass, and we're giving credit to the glass. And that drink, and it's the environment, it's the people that you're with, it's all that's amazing. It's not the drink. If you're looking back and thinking I had a lovely time with my friends at this party, it's because you loved your friends and you were at the party. It's not because of the drink. And I think it's important to remember sometimes that
and play that whole thing forward. Maybe you did have a nice time at the beginning of the party with your drink. What happened at the end of the party? Because I can tell you how most of mine ended.
So can I.
Yeah, and it wasn't facing the bottom of the toilet for me. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, and for me, every time falling up the stairs was another classic of mine.
Yeah, I've had broken bones because of it several times.
But this comes back to something I often talk about, and I've never done a YouTube video about this, and I must do one, is values and outcomes. So everything we do in our life, we place a value on it because of the outcome that it gives us. So when you think about drinking, like when I was a teenager, I would drink with my friends, and we always had a great time, drinking or not. We drink, we have lots of fun together. I suddenly place a high value because of that outcome on the alcohol. And I think that I therefore have got this kind of inflated false value, because actually we would have had a great time anyway. And you give it this high value over time. And when you look, why am I placing this value on it? And what were the outcomes? But when you zone in on the outcomes, like you just said, Alex, about heading the toilet and stuff, actually the values are often way off where they should be. And we should think about how much value we place on it and look closer at the outcomes, because it's the outcomes that cause the value. And this is why often when people have a horrible incident, like a drink drive or something really awful happens while they're drunk, their value suddenly goes like that, because they're not placing a high value on it any longer. Anyway, sorry, we've gone over an hour, guys, and I thought it'd be half an hour.
It's too easy. We could go on for days and days and days about this, couldn't we? It's
we've got to do another one tomorrow in yours.
I know, we'll have nothing else to say.
So just a couple more things. Someone said about the Zoom link for the Sober Saturday. I'm just going to share the picture again. So that is on tomorrow. Please don't miss it, because you'll regret it and you'll be asking afterwards, where can I see a recording of it? It's amazing. You've got probably 5, 6, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 6. There's 7 people, sober influencers there tomorrow, who are just all got different views, different ideas, different tactics. You can ask them questions, connect with them. It's just such a cool thing. So I'll post a Zoom link here. You guys on Instagram are at Sober Experiment, is that right?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Sober Experiment, and the link is in our web link, our link tree for the Zoom as well.
Yeah, perfect. And both of you guys are in the group. And if you want to comment, the Be Sober group, I mean, if you want to comment here, yeah, I'll share a link to that as well. So, yeah, that's definitely one not to miss tomorrow. And I'm really excited about it. Last week was amazing.
Yeah.
The Zoom room was nearly full. And I think this week it's going to be at capacity. So hopefully we can get some more space to kind of make sure everybody gets in and doesn't miss out.
It's just amazing. Who thought you could have like really good sober parties with everybody all over the world?
It's amazing. There's a lady called Brandy. I don't know if she's in the room. Kind of ironic name, but Brandy clashes with Sober Saturday. She's been doing a like coronavirus sober dance party every week, and it's just something I wanted to join it, but obviously we should bring her on and just get her to DJ.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Somebody's asked Simon about finding Sober Dave. He's on Facebook, he has a website, and he's on Instagram, and he is just at Sober Dave, or you can do www.soberdave, I think it's .com, but if you just type in Sober Dave on Instagram, he comes up. And you can't miss him. He's just, you can see him on...
he's on that picture.
Top right to you there.
He's the good-looking one. And Rob Woolman, who's one of the Naked Mind coaches, who's just an awesome guy. And I did a YouTube video with Rob recently. If you haven't seen it and want to hear a bit about his story and what he's doing, he said he's going to start a campaign to get me a date with Katy Perry.
If you're doing that, I want one for Brad Pitt, please.
I don't know whether I do though, because she's pregnant and without Orlando Bloom. I think I need to select someone. I'll need to rethink this. She was just the first thought that came into my head.
No, I definitely think it's Katy Perry. You just don't want to admit it.
It's true. I did have a Katy Perry calendar last year as well. If the truth be told. So,
I didn't have a Brad Pitt one.
All right. Let's move on from this this topic quickly.
We've had dodgy topics before. We can't be going there again.
Right, I'm changing the subject. So Chris said a link would be helpful. So Chris, we will drop the link to the Zoom chat tomorrow. Rihanna, you said I started doing sobriety talks on Tuesdays at younow.com at 7 p.m. EST. So there's another one to check out. And Rihanna, if you want to post a link to that, unless younow.com is the link, people can check that out. And Christy said a Be Sober dance party with Brandy, lol. So, well, on that note, I think that's an appropriate one. And we should all be, looking forward to an alcohol-free weekend. And if anyone needs help, reach out. Tag me in the comments. And I'm sure Alex and Lisa would be happy to answer any kind of bits and pieces comments that come up. Hang on a minute. Margot, you said you calculated your time wrong, and I'm sorry I missed this coaching session. Just caught the tail end. Thanks for doing this, Simon. Look forward to tomorrow. Awesome. I think I have the right time now. I'm CST in the US. I need to learn my time zones better.
I'm just pretending I know what people are talking about with these time zones.
Yeah. Well, Margot, it's 4 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Our clock's changed, which might be why you missed it. So just double check it. Google the different time zones and be there tomorrow, because it's going to be fantastic. Last week was brilliant.
It's 6:08 p.m. here now, so you can probably work out your time difference based on that.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's 6 o'clock now, so it's at 4 o'clock, so it's 2 hours. 2 hours ago tomorrow, 22 hours from now. Minus 8. Right. Sorry to have kept you, everyone. As usual, I've talked too much and gone over, and I'm sorry. I probably didn't let you get a word in edgeways.
We're all as bad as each other. We're all like waiting for our turn. We like talking too much. In fact, we're a nightmare in a room together, even a virtual one.
Yeah, it's actually true. You can't. It's so true. I'm trying to be quiet now. All right, we'll sign off on that note. Thank you, everyone, for showing up.
Thanks for having us, everybody. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Thank you for coming on. It's been brilliant. And we've got another special guest next week as well, who I will announce later. In fact, I think I did announce already, but which also is Mandy from Loveside. I posted it already. I just remembered. But there's going to be a surprise the week after that. I promise. Right. See you all soon. And everyone be in Sober Saturday tomorrow. I look forward to it. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for having us.